Hello my lovely nestlings, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to rank all the palettes that I have from Catrice, and I have 17. I'm going to rank them from worst to best and tell you why they are in the spot that they are. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Nikki. I am from the Netherlands, hence the accent. I'm also slightly orcish, relatively vintage. I love spooky stuff, makeup and being creative. Let me explain some things. The slightly orcish means I'm green. I'm a light to light medium warmish olive, and the relatively vintage means I'm 46 or 47 depending on when this video goes online, because I'm pre-filming. I just filmed this makeup look, which was a full moon video for the full moon of February, and I was like, I want to film another video. I don't know if the makeup look goes with my sweater, but I love the sweater, so what can you say? Yes, as I said, 17 palettes from Catrice. I don't have any Catrice eyeshadows on my eyes today, but it is what it is. I have filmed with all of them except one. The palettes that I have from Catrice are 5 in a box, and they're Pro Slim palettes. Those are the ones that I have, and those are the ones I'm going to rank. So I'm going to start with number 17, which is a Pro palette, and it is the Peach Origin. This is the color story, and this is by far my least favorite palette from Catrice. I feel that it's not peach enough. I have no idea why this denim shade is in there, and I don't like this denim shade at all. I wish there was a little bit more peach variety in here, and yeah, these two, I don't really like them, and that is why it's here. Performance wise, they perform very well. The matte shadows are nice and pigmented. The shimmers need a little bit of building up, but they are still very, very nice. But yeah, this is just my least favorite color story. I don't like blue eyeshadows actually, or at least a specific kind of blue, and this is not a blue eyeshadow that I enjoy, and I feel that it should not have been in this palette at all, so that's why it's the lowest. Next I'm going to go to a 5 in a box, and this is one of the older ones, one of the first ones that they released, if I'm not mistaken, and it is also the one that I use the least, and it's the 5 in a box Modern Smoky. Here she is. What I like about this one is that it goes deeper, so the matte shadows are more cool toned. This one is a little bit more bluish gray. It's a pretty shade, and this is actually a very, very pretty kind of a teal gray shimmer. I love shimmers like this, I very much do. However, this is, as I said, my least used one. Quality was nice. Yeah, it's just a color story thing. What can I say? The next one is another Pro palette, and it is their Lavender Breeze palette. This one, color story wise, when I look at it, I really, really enjoy it. I wish that there was more purple in here and more lavender in here, but yeah, this is a color story that, I don't know, makes me happy to look at. I like it. I liked using it as well. As I said, I wish that there was more lavender in there, more different types of lavender. I don't know, darker purples maybe even. That's why it's here, basically. Yes. Next I'm going to go to another Pro palette, which is going to be the first Pro palette that they released. They released two, I think 2 years ago or something, and this is one of them, and it is the Next Gen Nudes. Now I think this was the first Pro palette that I tried from Catrice, and I was very, very much blown away by the quality. In this case, it's a combination of things. So it's a color story that I just don't grab for, and it's these two kind of marbled shades. They're a little bit more flaky. They're not my favorite formula from Catrice. In the newer palettes they don't have these anymore, but yeah, quality was nice. In this case, it's just a color story. These are not my type of nudes. Me being an olive, this is just not what I go for, so that is why it's here. Okay, then we go to another 5 in a box, and this was also one of the first ones. This is the Soft Rose look. Here she is. And it's the same as the previous palette. This is just not a color story that I grab for often. Now the reason that this is higher is because it's a small curated color story. There's a nice depth in here, and I will grab this palette over the Next Gen Nudes, because the tones that are in here, they do work for me. The Next Gen Nude works for me as well, but I just like this variety a little bit more. I like that this has depth. I think that the Next Gen Nudes, yeah, the Next Gen Nudes also has depth, but I just like this color story a little bit more, and that is why it is here. Next, I don't even know the number we are on. But the next one that I'm going to mention is another 5 in a box. And this released last year. When I got it in, I was very excited about the color story. But there's one shade that I really want to change from this. And that is why it's here. Yeah. This is the khaki look. And it's basically here at the ending. So this part I really do. These two shades, they don't really work for me in this palette. If I basically use these two and then that one, that works very well. If I want to use these two, they kind of don't really work for me, and I think it is because I am an olive, a lighter warm olive. I wish that this one was less pink, a little bit more orange, so a darker shade of this. And then, yeah, I don't know, this one I wish was maybe a little bit more on the browner side. So that is actually the reason why it's here, just for my skin tone. If I really want to make a look with all the colors, this one, it's basically too green to pair well with the other matte shadows that are in here. But I also think it is because my skin pulls out the green in this and it just makes it a little bit muddy. That is why it is here. I just wish that the green, or maybe this one, was a true khaki color and then lighter, you know. I don't know. That's my opinion though. The next one that I'm going to go to is also a 5 in a box, and this is an older one. I love the mattes that are in here. There's just one shade that I want to swap out, and that is why it's here. And this is the blue smoky look. Maybe you can guess the shade that I want to swap out. I also said so in the video. This blue doesn't do it for me at all. The rest of the palette is stunning. But this blue I wish was the steel gray that was in the other one. Then it would have been perfection for me, because then I would just have kind of a gray, maybe even just a bluish gray, but a gray smoky palette that I could just grab. Now unfortunately the palette isn't magnetic, so I cannot push out this shade and then, you know, change it for the darker gray that I would like to have in here. So yeah, that's the reason that it is here, just because of this one shade. It's just not what I like to use with a palette like this, but I really did enjoy the quality. The next one is another Pro palette, and this is actually a newer one. I think this released at the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken. And in this, it's just a color story thing, and it is the Desert Romance. When I bought the palette because I buy them all. I do videos on, well, hold that thought. I do videos with them and I buy them all. I just want to have the collection complete. What can I say? So when I saw this one, I was like, yeah, I don't think that I will like it that much, basically because of this combination. I don't know, it reminds me of mustard and ketchup. What can I say? When I played with this though, I was very pleasantly surprised. The shadows work very nicely on me. Color wise, there's a nice depth, a nice pigmentation, a nice vibrancy that you can get with this. This shimmer is stunning. The reason that it is here is because the rest that I have, I just like the color story a little bit more with. When I open up this palette, basically this part kind of throws me off a little bit. It's just not a combination that I enjoy looking at. And then I kind of forget that it is actually a very pretty palette on my eye. So that is why it's here. A little bit in the middle of the pack, but yeah, what can I say? That's why it's here. Yeah. Okay, next I'm going to go to another 5 in a box, and this is not one of the first one, it's one of the second batch that they released here in Europe, and this is the Vivid Burgundy. This color story, while I don't grab for it often, I actually really enjoy. It is, oh, it kind of matches with my sweater as well. It's kind of muted enough and brown enough instead of a bright red that it works for me very well, and I can get just a very pretty, it is kind of a neutrally look, but also not really. I don't know, it's just very pretty. When I don't pull this palette often, but when I do, the look that I create, I'm always very happy with. So, and again, yeah, the quality very nice. Okay, next I'm going to go to another Pro palette, and this was the other one that they released first. It's the Neon Earth. This is just a color story that when I see it, I really like it. I do have to say that I love the back part of the palette more than the front part of the palette. It's just what I vibe with more. It's why it's in the place that it is, because when I play with this palette, I usually play here on the back end. I kind of use the lighter shades to blend out a little bit more, but that, and yeah, there are two of those flaky shades in here that I don't usually use from them. I can work with them and they are pretty. It's just not, as I said, my favorite formula. But basically this part here I find so yummy, and I think that the quality, even with it being one of the first pro palette that they released, the quality was so nice. The quality that they have now I think is even better. It's more rich in pigment, it's still very easy to blend, and yeah, that is why this one is here. Next, I'm going to go to a palette that I have to explain. So I have one pro palette that I have never used, and that's this one. I bought this, I don't remember when it launched, but I bought it, and it's the Natural Spirit. I never filmed with it. Why? Because I never even use it, because other things just kept coming in and it was basically pushed back. However, every time I open this palette up, I'm like, I need to play with it because the color story is so pretty. Is she basic? Yeah, but still pretty. This is what she looks like. It's an olive dream. What can I say? I just need to put it on my desk to play with it, because I don't know if I will do a video with it. If you guys really want me to, let me know. But this color story, it's just so pretty, and it is neutrals for me because of the olive shade. So I think I need to swatch the shade Attitude. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's very pretty. Now this is a shade that you kind of need to build up a little bit, and my swatching is not the greatest today, but yeah, I can already see basically an olive. I wish it was a little bit deeper, that's what she said, but yeah, I really want to play with it, and that is why it's here, because that color story, it's just, what can I say, it's just yummy. Next, I'm going to go to another pro palette. I think, is this the newest one? Yeah, so this is a video that, as I'm filming this, it's not online yet, but it is online by the time you are seeing this. It's another pro palette, and it's the Catrice Blushing Oceans. This is the newest pro palette that they released, and when I saw this, I was like, ooh, that's so cute. So yeah, some of you may say, but there's a blue in there. Yes, there is, but it's more of a teal, at least on me. It's a darker teal, and I had so much fun with this palette. The looks that I did, honestly, I filmed one of the looks. I filmed two looks in the video. I filmed one of the looks, and then I Marco Polo'd my friends, and I was like, can you guess the palette? No one, absolutely no one of them guessed that it was Catrice. It was so nice and vibrant, so rich in color and rich in pigment. And I love the fact that I can just do, if I want to, just a neutral crease, that one on the lid. This one is, for me, a little bit lackluster. I prefer more sparkle in the inner corner, but if you kind of want a little bit more subtleness in your inner corner, this one will work very well. Honestly, go watch the video that I did, because this, I think, is a very good palette. So why is it not higher, you may ask? Well, because the rest I kind of like a little bit more. What can I say? So the next one that I'm going to mention is another 5 in a box, and this was part of their first 5 in a box release, at least here in Europe, and it is the Warm Spice look. There's just something about this color story that is just so yummy, especially in autumn or fall. I love to use this, and it's just, I use all the shades. It's a very pretty look, and very easy. The quality is very nice. It's a palette that I grab for a lot in autumn. The other palette that I'm going to mention now is also a 5 in a box, and it's the other kind of neutral palette that I grab for a lot, especially now, and I don't know, a little bit, not necessarily more in summer, but this is just such an easy palette that I can wear with any clothing that I have on. It's just so easy to pair, and it is the Golden Nude look. This is just kind of a, it's still a neutral palette, yes, but it has a little bit more goldenness in it, and it just pairs very well with my skin tone. It doesn't warp the shadows. It's nice and dark if I want to, and again, this is just a palette that I just use all the shadows from to create a look, and it's just so pretty, honestly. Then I'm going to go to my number 3, and my number 3 is a palette that, while I don't grab for it as often as the 2.5 in a box that I just mentioned, this color story just makes me happy, and I grab for it quite a bit in summer, and that is the Hint of Mint. When I saw this, I was like, they are doing something very much up my alley. I really enjoy this palette. The only kind of thing that I have to say is that this mint, it's a nice mint, but on me it turns a little bit more green than minty, but that's because of my undertone. This shade Frosty is again a little bit more subtle for what I go for, but the palette as a whole, I really enjoy just doing a neutral look and just popping that mint in the inner corner. This shade is also very pretty. It's a marbled shade, but it's very pretty. I just think this is a very cohesive color story. I do wish though that that mint had a little bit more punch, and for me this one had a little bit more sparkle, but that is personal preference. Now we're going to go to my top 2. My number 2 is a palette that is new. It blew me away, and I will grab for this a lot in the coming period, but there is a reason that it is not on number 1, and I will explain. So my number 2 is the newest 5 in a, oh, don't dig your nail in, the newest 5 in a box. It's the Diamond Lavender. This palette is only, as far as I know right now, only available in Europe. This is so pretty. It's such a pretty palette. When I did the video, I did say though that for me personally, I wish that this shade was a little bit more blue toned, because it just for me flows a little bit better with the rest of the color story. That is a color preference thing though. It's just that I prefer, if I have a cool tone palette, kind of in this case a more purple blue toned palette, I kind of want this one to be a little bit more blue toned instead of pink toned, but that is again personal preference. But the quality of this, oh my lord, it was so good. So good. If you see this and you like the color story, I highly recommend. Now my number 1 is a palette that, it's a very unique color story in my collection, and when I saw this palette from Catrice, it was so different from what they had released in the past that I instantly fell in love, and it is their Vintage Soul palette. This palette, the color story in here with the grays and then the more, I don't know, are they burgundy shades? Probably. I actually don't know. This is also kind of a flaky shade, but what I could create with this palette was a very close resemblance to the Natasha Denona vintage mini palette. That color story I could recreate with this, and these shades here, it's just so stunning to do this one and then deepen it up with this one, put the gray on the lid, and then I don't know, blend it out with this one, for instance. It's just so unique in my collection. I have these shades, but strewn about in different palettes. So this just, every time I open this up, it gives me a certain emotion almost. And that is why this palette is my number 1 of the Catrice palettes that I have right now. And that was it. Let me know if you have any of these Catrice palettes. I know that some of these are, as far as I know, only available in Europe. Unfortunately, I will see if I can find them. And otherwise, just check, you know, where you can buy Catrice if they have these in stock. And then that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm going to wish you a fantastic day, a fabulous evening. May your foundation always match your neck, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.